Alright, so today we're comparing the highest quality options from Ibanez and Solar. We've got the Ibanez J Custom RG and the Solar Made in Europe AC. So this is a discussion, it's not an intensive review of these guitars. I've got reviews on my channel, check it out if you want. And also, I'm not sponsored by anyone at all. I'm not paid to talk about this or say this. I'm not an amazing guitarist, I'm not in any amazing touring band. I'm just a guy online who likes guitars, okay? So why these guitars? What's going on? Well, we've got kind of tradition, like I'm not talking about like 1950s tradition, but like kind of more traditional specs versus more modern specs. You know, both of these guitars have pickups rich with mids. Both of these guitars you can play fast on and riff on. Both of these guitars are for quote unquote metal, whatever that means. And both of these guitars are red. But from that, they diverge. So we got the J Custom here, and you could say this is the realization of all things Ibanez, the zenith of what they're going for. You've got those DiMarzio pickups, the mahogany body with the flame maple top, the ultra thin neck. This is pretty much the thinnest neck I have, Tree of Life inlay. You've got the 5-way switch here, just gonna put that to the bridge. And so it's like a lead, like metal shred machine, but there's echoes of the traditional, like the fretwire, for example. It's the typical, the nickel silver. It's not that modern stainless steel that we all like. In the fretboard material, while it's a nice dark color, it is rosewood. It's not the ebony that everyone is crazy about these days. So it's built with high quality materials. It's robust, it's a strong guitar, it does stay in tune, you can play it pretty intensely, it will hold up to whatever you throw at it. It's pretty versatile, you know, it's got the 5-way switch, it's got the 3 pickups, you know, the DiMarzios, the Tone Zone, the Air Norton, the True Velvet in the middle, but it's not like quite modern voiced. It doesn't have that upper mid spike or bump in the sound it makes. It doesn't have any like carve away in the lower horn or anything like that. Not to say the fret access is bad, it's still pretty good, if not amazing. But it does have the tremolo bridge, stuff like that, you know, like typical things you'd think of from like maybe the 80s or like onwards. It's not innovating by any means beyond having a flat, thin neck. It's still just like a really strong, really well-made, high-quality guitar. And that's really what they were going for there. They're not trying to throw any fancy features on it beyond the signature thin Ibanez neck. They're just trying to make a really well-made guitar. On the other hand, we have the Solar here, and this is made in Europe instead of Japan, if that matters to you. You know, it's still pretty high quality. But it's got more modern features. So of course it has the stainless steel frets, you know, more smoother, more durable. Many companies are tooling up now to be able to use them on their guitars. Because with the durability, of course, like the nickel silver, it's softer, so the tools don't need to be as strong, but with the stainless steel, you know, you need stronger stuff or you need to keep replacing your tools. And it has the richlite fretboard, you know, not real wood, it's the synthetic stuff. So of course that's more robust to temperature changes and stuff like that. But the feel is different, you know, and because these are tools, these instruments are tools. We're trying to make music, craft music, whether it's our job, whether it's our side hustle, you know, if you have to play live, if you have to make songs for the internet on the side like I do. You have to use the instrument a lot to make the music, and the feel is a big thing, because if it doesn't feel good, well, then you're just going to be hating your job. Thankfully, I don't mind the richlite too much, but it does feel different than ebony. Like it has a bit more stick to it, but it's not like the kind of rosewood resistance. It's more like a, how do I say? Because like rosewood still feels like wood, but the richlite feels definitely synthetic. So if you really care about having a wood feel under your fingers, this ain't it. But definitely the peace of mind is nice. See, the thing is, if you're living in a place that isn't too temperature regulated, like if you're not in like a perfect studio with perfect air conditioning, either playing live or you're in an apartment that swings between hot and cold, every little bit helps. You know, especially if you have like a day job, every little bit helps. You know, you get to finally playing music at night, you're tired, you don't have too much time, you can't spend too much time tuning things. Some more stability with like the fretboard material, more tuning stability with this contraption here, the Evertune. It goes a long way. And other modern features too, like the coil split, you know, it's just a push-pull right here. It's got that 3-way switch, which usually I prefer like 5-way switch or something like that, but the 3-way switch on this is pretty nice, pretty simple. And because this toggle switch is oversized, I usually prefer blades, but this kind of actually feels just like a blade. So I'm really preferring how this feels more. And of course, I've talked about the Evertune. The thing about the Evertune, you know, it's a mechanical system, so it's not magic. You do still have to tune it every so often. You need to check it, but it helps so much. Like, especially because this is a thinner neck. It is like super strong, high quality, good materials, but it will react to temperatures, things like that. It will react to you playing it hard, and it does fall out of tune over time a little faster than if you have the Evertune. So when I'm tired at the end of the day, trying to really make some music before I go to bed, just knowing I'll be in tune really helps. Of course, I'm not saying that the Evertune is like perfect and amazing. I'm personally a huge fan, of course, but there are drawbacks. For example, because it's like this spring system, it doesn't really feel like a typical guitar, okay? Like if you're playing on a, like even like a Floyd Rose or like floating bridge or like a fixed bridge, I've got this one blocked, the bends and stuff are gonna feel more immediate, versus on this, you're fighting against springs. And fighting even more so than you would feel versus a fixed bridge and a floating bridge. Like these are like 6 springs, like 1 per string. And also because of that too, the sustain is like a bit less. So if you're trying to like hold long notes, you don't have that giant tone block. So that is a factor too. But bringing the conversation back to just talking about this guitar before we wrap things up, it does have, as you can see by the grain on here, it has a nice lightweight ash body. So that's really nice when you're trying to stand up after a long day. It's nice and light, so it's not going to weigh down on you. Versus like the mahogany here, it is pretty hefty. Like especially the higher quality mahogany, it does start to weigh down. So what's the deal? One sounds really great if you're just like playing. One sounds really great on paper and sounds perfect, you know, staying in tune, using for recording and stuff. And of course, there's the strength of the tradition, the repetition of building guitars the same way. Do you need the features or the execution? Like which one? Because I do gotta mention on the Solar, the features are nice, the fretboard is nice and everything, but the fretboard isn't rounded. In striving for more modern features, they've left out some things that make a more polished package more attractive. So like on the Ibanez here, the fretboard, it's not like ultra rounded, but it's definitely rounded. There's attention to detail there. When you run your fingers up and down it, there's nothing catching. Versus on the Solar, you can clearly feel where the neck ends and the fretboard begins. The fretboard is just pretty much a slab. There's no rounded edges at all. It's not sharp by any means, like it's not cutting my hand when I do this, but it's definitely not rounded, and when you're playing it, you can feel it. You can kind of tune it out, but it is kind of always there. Versus on the Ibanez, it's basically been crafted to perfection. It feels like the ultimate working instrument. You can use it, play it professionally, record with it, anything. That being said though, the Solar does have the features I do need. Like you can see it has these sculpts here, these carves where you can reach the upper fretboard effortlessly. It does have the stainless steel. It's not going to really react to temperature because it has that richlite. It's got that Evertune, so I'm not going to be out of tune after some minutes. I can't tell you how many times I've been trying to record something, trying to get a lead line down. You know, I've tuned my guitar, I've been practicing the lead line, and I've got it under my fingers and I'm ready to record it. And I do that, and then I go back and hear, oh, it's slightly out of tune. Man, so you have to redo it, but then you're like either not warmed up or like you've lost it, something like that. A bit of a bummer, not the end of the world, because you know, you warm up a bit, you play it, and you're fine. But if you're just in tune, you can move on and work on other things, especially if you're a one-man show. I also got to mention, because the Solar is both a lightweight ash body and it's a carved top, it does get a little neck heavy. You know, an example of, oh, on paper this sounds good, lightweight ash body and carved top, but in practice, you do need a bit of weight to balance things out. You know, if the neck was lighter weight, then it wouldn't be an issue, but like as it stands with the choice of materials, maybe if it was like a heavier wood with the carved top, it would balance a bit better. So you might ask yourself, which one would I pick? Well, I bought them both. Clearly, I would pick both and use them to their strengths. But that's not what you're here for. You want to hear if I could pick one. Well, the J Custom has been reliable and it does get the job done. You know, if I need to play a particularly shreddy part, it does help me a little bit. It does flatter my playing because, again, I'm not the best guitarist in the world, so I need all the help I can get. But the fact of the matter is, it does kind of go out of tune sometimes. And even though it's made with top shelf, like quality woods, like the thin neck definitely reacts to temperatures, and I'm in an apartment where the temperature does swing. You know, the air conditioning does its best, but it gets hot, it gets cold, depending on where you stand, what you do, how hard you're playing. And I do prefer like the more modern features with the stainless steel. The Evertune helps out, things like that. And as I'm getting older, my hand does get more fatigued with an ultra thin neck. I do need something with a little more to it. Not to say that the neck on the Solar isn't thin, like especially on the EU Solars, the necks are a bit thinner than on the standard Solars, which are also like pretty shreddable too. You know, the lighter weight definitely helps as you're getting tired and more inflamed, etc. The neck heaviness isn't that bad. And even though I prefer a forearm cut over like a carved top, like I'd prefer a forearm cut or bevels or an arch top over a carved top, it only takes a few minutes to get used to how this body feels. And after that, then you could just play it as normal. So if I had to pick one, which obviously I haven't picked just one, I've picked both and have used both in songs. But if I had to pick one, like staying in tune and having the more modern features just for what I do personally suits me more and lets me accomplish more. But let me know your thoughts. You know, did I cover enough detail? Did I talk about these guitars enough? Which do you prefer? Do you think I'm totally off? Like, do you hate the Evertune? Do you love the Evertune? What are your thoughts on Solar versus Ibanez? Let me know in the comments down below. This is YouTube, so I have to say the YouTube things. I'm so sorry, but you know, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Share the video, print out every frame and mail it. And as always, peace.